You've got mail. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour or so, along with Katie.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Nick is here.
Also, good morning.
Also, good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Am I?
Well,
oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I realize I'm here.
welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Our number is 561-518-9773. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, how was your week, guys?
It was good. I made another extension because I'm the extension queen now. And this time, my extension, and here's my cat.
Yeah, that's the extension.
Yeah, my cat. No, he's the manager. This time the extension was to show images from links, not all links, specifically for the card store that I have through their whatever URL thing.
Mhm.
So I can't use Imager, which is a popular extension, because Imager, I guess, pulls the image from the link or whatever, or I don't know. Gal probably knows. But my problem was that the link takes you to a page, and I want a specific image from the page. And so it wasn't as easy as just like ChatGPT did it at first, but it took me like a day working with ChatGPT to get it to refresh, because the problem was that once the extension ran and pulled the image from the link, it wouldn't rerun if I went to a different order, because I learned that websites can update dynamically without actually updating like a new page or whatever so that the extensions refresh. So I had to figure out how to get around that, and ChatGPT and I were fighting through the system for like 3 or 4 hours to try to figure that out. But we got it working. So now
That's the
if we go
bottom.
to a new page, it will update, and then it will show the image.
Yeah, that's you did it, and that's what's important.
We did it with the power
Yeah.
of friendship with me and ChatGPT.
No.
So, do you go out for drinks after?
No, unfortunately, I lock it back into the basement
Oh.
and feed it cheese.
Chain them to the wall.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else happened that anybody wants to bring up?
I pulled the trigger and ordered a new server. So next week I'll be rebuilding my server, my home server finally.
Nice.
Wait, what are
So,
you doing
yeah.
with your old server?
I'm
Cannibalizing.
taking out all of the disks out, putting it in the new server, and doing nothing. It's old hardware that is way too power hungry for what it does. So
Oh, because I'm super into this AI powered stuff now, and I want to build my own, not AI machine, but because I'm going to use ChatGPT's API. But
Okay.
but I was like, ooh, I'm really loving learning how to optimize with ChatGPT. I think that's the future. The future of technology is it, like we talked about previously on the show, is to use ChatGPT as a tool. And so I want to use ChatGPT to build an application. And yeah, so it's like, oh, you're gonna need this stuff. And I could start right now, but I also don't want to bog down my computer.
So let me jump in here, because one of the things that when I built my built my new server back in, it was probably late February, early March, somewhere around that time frame. And Katie, I had some of the same thoughts. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get some AI models on here and start doing some stuff. And as I started doing more research, that just seemed, and I'll jump in, but it seemed completely, it didn't make any sense
No.
for the realistic amount of resources that I had available, which was not, we're talking like compute resources to do even simple AI tasks. Because I did install one agent and try working with it, and it was incredibly resource intensive, and it was like it took forever to respond to things. It was very slow because it's not meant for that.
Yeah, let
Um,
me clarify, because I don't want to build my own AI machine, but
Okay.
I want to basically I really don't need a lot of space. Like because I asked ChatGPT, I really need just some
You asked
storage.
ChatGPT how much what you
Yeah,
needed
I
to do
did.
to
I
build
asked
your
it. I was like, hey, so I'm gonna use ChatGPT's or OpenAI's API. So they're still gonna handle the AI stuff on their cloud server or whatever. I just want a space dedicated to where I could store my documents, or I can store the stuff that I want it to analyze, and then tell it like how to analyze it, or like I'm looking for this kind of thing, and it saved the data, and then kind of like build my own repository with the computing stuff being all done through OpenAI stuff. So really, that's why I was asking about a hard drive, a Gall, because I was like, I just need a hard drive. And it said, and even ChatGPT was like, you don't need a lot of space because the stuff you're doing is just literally like text documents.
True.
But
Well, if you wanted to segregate the data and containerize the data, it seems like it could be an opportunity to run VirtualBox if you truly wanted to keep all of that stuff separate and wanted to make sure it didn't have access to anything else on your computer.
yeah, that
You could run a simple Windows virtual machine on your current computer, which I'm sure has the power to do that. And the data, or the power demands, the resources, CPU cycles and RAM cycles, are going to be so limited. It doesn't need to be a very beefy virtual machine, and you can keep all of that data central. Hell, you probably wouldn't even run it on Windows. You could probably do it in, probably almost better to do it in Ubuntu or something like that.
mm,
You just run it on your current machine, but keep it kind of in its own little corner where it doesn't have access to everything.
yeah. Yeah, that's and then the first step is getting a new hard drive. I don't really have enough room on my computer anyways.
Yeah.
A hard drive can be USB connected. It doesn't really need to be.
Right.
But
Yeah.
isn't that slow though?
It's slower.
If you're
It's not slow.
pulling, I mean, if you're trying to pull gigabytes worth of data at a time, but I can't imagine that that's what you're going to be doing.
No. In fact, it was like talking in kilobytes.
Yeah. So
You'll never be able to tell the difference.
yeah, check out VirtualBox. I don't know if it's open source or not. Maybe it's
Well,
not.
actually, are you running Windows Pro or Windows Home?
Me? I don't
Yeah.
know. How do I figure that out?
What's it? This
Right.
PC.
WinRAR.
Right click
Or
on
go
the start and go to settings and go
Right-click
to
settings.
system.
right click my computer
System.
properties. That's it.
Wait. Right click
This PC
my
properties, you'll get the information you need.
Oh,
Uh-oh, I feel like a boomer. My computer properties?
This PC, you open Windows
Command
Explorer, the file
Oh.
view, you find my PC, and you just right click and properties. This PC,
This PC. About your PC. Okay, I got it.
okay.
Sort of toward the bottom.
Home.
Home, okay.
Windows 11 home.
Windows 11 Pro has a built-in hypervisor called
Oh yeah,
this.
I forgot about that.
So Hyper-V, sorry. And so Hyper-V will do that. But if you don't have that, then go with Nick's suggestion of installing VirtualBox, and you're good to go.
Okay, cool. So this is a new endeavor. I'm adding it to my long list of things I'm already working on.
Now the question is, Gal, should she install Windows or use Ubuntu
I mean,
desktop?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever Katie, you're comfortable with.
I I'm gonna do Windows because I don't know what I'm doing. So let's
No,
not
I
add
mean,
an extra layer of complication.
for sure. Yeah. Look, I've been using computers. I've been using Firefox, right, for well over 30 years now, since any of these pieces of software came out. I know how to program. I've never went and programmed an extension myself. You already did that, right? After just
It's
deciding to do it.
it
So
is
it just
liberating.
shows that there's nothing to stop you. So
No,
yeah,
that's how I
do
feel
it.
like. I feel unstoppable and I feel like I have all the power in the universe and I feel like I could take over the world. That's the power of AI because I have this idea and I'm like, how do I make it happen? And AI is like, okay, let's figure it out. And I'm just like,
Awesome.
this is what rich people feel like when they have employees and they tell employees to do this thing.
Probably.
You you know
Yeah, that's a
what's
good
it's
analogy. Yeah.
it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I think that we go back to the debate, and I think we talked about this maybe last week about how a lot of people, especially those in the creative sphere, are having a really hard come to Jesus moment with all of this AI stuff because they see it as essentially an existential crisis for whatever their in whatever industry that they're in. But like what Katie just described is the creative nature of her is what it's not yes, the AI is doing the task, but if without being a creative at the root, none of that would happen anyway. I mean that's the real I mean, that's the big I mean, hell, Katie, 5 years ago, if you wasn't AI, you could have gone to Fiverr and spent $25 and had somebody make the same extension for you.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
so
I
it's
mean, I
it's
wouldn't have
it's still
even
really about the idea more than it is like, oh, I'm using AI to do it.
Oh,
That's
I wouldn't
that's
have even
that's the
have done
key.
it because I am a creature of convenience. I don't mind paying more for convenience. Like I have a subscription to OpenAI now because it's worth it to me to just I can just open up a browser, I could type it in, and they could do what I want, and it's
Are you not
liberating.
using the app?
I have the app on my phone. No,
You should
I'm
use the app on Windows. It's phenomenal.
wait. You mean
The
oh
chat.
okay? I see
Yeah,
what you mean.
Chat GPT has like an app. So in the taskbar, it's like it's a program for all intents
Okay,
and
that
purposes.
makes more sense because when you said app, my first thought was mobile app, and I was like, why would I do it on my phone?
Yeah, no, I don't remember how I came across it. I think maybe there was a pop up on the website a couple months ago, and it was like, "Oh, hey, man, check out our Windows app or whatever."
Okay,
And
no.
it's great because you're not constantly hunting for where's my Chat GPT tab that I know I have open
Yep.
somewhere.
Okay, that I know what I'm downloading today.
Okay. So, um, this is the Nick. Fortnite is
Yo,
back.
yes, it is.
In the United States, they said. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Is it also in Europe and all that?
Well, it was already partially back in Europe because of a different court ruling a while ago. But they're I'll be the first to admit I have not been keeping up to date with
Okay.
the UK stuff because it really hasn't been relevant. So it may be gone now. Maybe there was a new opinion, but it's definitely back in the US on iOS,
Okay.
on
So
iPads and iPhones.
the thing that I wanted to mention is Apple has implemented suspicious warning labels featuring red exclamation mark on EU App Store listing that use external payment system.
Yep.
The company's
That is awesome.
new tactic. What'd you say, guy?
I say that is awesome. It'll make it easy to find those.
Well, the company's new tactic targets apps like Instacar, a popular Hungarian vehicle valuation tool with thousands of positive reviews, displaying ominous warning that the app does not support the App Store's private and secure payment system.
Ooh.
The associated support page cautions users that external payments require providing personal information directly to developers and third parties based on their privacy and security controls.
Mhm.
The move also allows the Epic versus Apple ruling that prohibits Apple from interfering with developers linking to alternative payment systems. So they found a way around it to make people, should I do that? Should I really go and?
Yeah, they're actually educating the people of why, because next to this warning, the developer will add their own explanation. Why am I seeing this warning? And it's because Apples are douchebags that only
Yeah.
want to be the only overlords of your data and money. So yeah,
They're not the only overlords?
that they're not. No, they're not anymore.
Oh,
That's the thing.
wow.
They've been dethroned, so they're pissed about it.
Yeah, of course.
Why is Tim Cook going to the
Tim Apple.
Tim Apple, yeah,
Tim
going to
Apple.
the Secretary of I'm sorry, the Attorney General of Texas, trying to get them to not put this child protection thing in place? What vested interest do they have about blocking access to kids?
Well, I mean, there's
is
a
it
law that-
overreaching?
No, it comes down to they struggle with enforcement. And this there's a law currently going through the legislature here in North Carolina that would ban social media for anybody under the age of 13, which is not uncommon because most services already have a EULA or a policy that doesn't allow that. However, it is very, as somebody who was 13 not that long ago, somewhat recently. I mean, it wasn't
Last week?
yesterday, but but I mean, and Amnon remembers this. Before I was 18, you just used to lie to find ways to get around these various websites and services that didn't want you to use their product if you were under a certain age. The interesting thing about a lot of these laws that are going through, which I agree with, is, for example, the one in North Carolina, it would allow you as a parent to sue Facebook or X or whatever company for up to for up to $10,000, and would fine them $50,000 per infraction in the state. I mean, so you're talking about huge amounts of money.
Are you saying that if a kid lied and got through, the parents can sue Facebook?
Yes.
Yes, because they didn't make it hard enough, or
tight
they
enough.
didn't validate whatever the kid claimed. They took the kid at its face value,
Yeah,
the kid's word, right?
interesting. Yeah. And talking about Apple, President Donald Trump on Friday threatened Apple with a 25% tariff unless the company manufactures iPhones sold in America domestically rather than in India or other overseas locations. Trump posted on Truth Social that he had long ago informed Tim Cook of Apple about this expectation for US based iPhone production, warning that failure to comply would trigger the substantial tariff penalty. The ultimatum follows Trump express displeasure with Cook during his recent Middle East trip over Apple's plans to build iPhones at newly constructed Indian facilities. Apple has historically maintained that domestic iPhones manufacturing remains unfeasible due to insufficient skilled engineering talent and substantial higher production costs compared to Asian facility. That's very interesting. I guess they have better
The
talent over
insufficient
there.
is the word that is missing after insufficient talent is at the price I'm willing to
Right,
pay.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
And he puts it at the other end of it, what will increase substantially the price, which is correct.
Which is
right?
already high.
Yeah, but it will be higher, and he's
Yeah.
correct. And it means that whatever he's look, let's be clear, right? none of us here are. We're all fans of stuff that has been created in China and Eastern Asia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we all like the gadgets that we have been buying from there, and yes, we do know that the talents there are cheaper. Okay. Now the real question is, should U.S. companies be making billions on those backs, right? And that's the biggest question. One of the things I don't know if Trump really realizes that eventually it just means that these American companies will make a lot less money, right? I don't think the consumer will buy less from China eventually. Something is missing there in the equation. But yeah, right now those who are being hurt the most is Apple, is the big manufacturers from the US that are using these East Asian
Yeah, well,
countries.
Well, and if I had to guess, like the other things that we've seen, this is this is a threat against Apple for them to come out and say, okay, we're sorry, we're going to invest, $100 billion over the next 25 years building facilities in Texas. I know there's still haven't even broken ground on the new Apple facility in Raleigh or RTP. That's not I don't think it's even in Raleigh. It's somewhere out in the
Yeah,
Triangle.
RTP
Morrisville.
is probably Durham. Yeah,
Morrisville. So like that that's what will happen here. Apple will come out and admit or say we're going to do a whole bunch of investment in the United States. We're going to hire X amount of people, and then that tariff will go away. It seems to me that from what we've seen, at least with over the past 60, 90 days or so, it's to force these companies to make more U.S. investment. I think the president is smart enough to know that you're not going to bring cell phone manufacturing or a vast majority of technical manufacturing back to the United States. He just wants to secure commitments, multi-billion, $100 billion commitments from these companies to to essentially employ more Americans and add more to the U.S. economy, and we'll go from there. And if Apple says no, we're not, then they'll have to Gal's point, they're going to make a whole hell of a lot less money. That's what the end result will be. So I would suspect Apple knows what's going on. They're one of the largest tech companies in the world. You know for a fact that they've been having conversations with people like Peter Navarro and Scott Bassett and the folks that are really leading this trade policy to figure out what dollar figure and what does this administration want to see to make sure that they don't have to pay this 25% tariff, because they obviously don't, and I don't think they can afford to pass it to the consumer. I mean, what's your base iPhone's now going to be what, $3,000? I mean, that's not,
right.
people already
No.
bitch and complain about the price of the iPhone. I do as well. I can somewhat justify the $1,000. Start getting much higher than that, and I think a lot of people really start second guessing what are they really getting. What value are they getting for that amount of money?
They'll just take out a student loan.
Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, you can do that.
No.
So we'll see. I mean, Apple's got a lot of leverage. Obviously, this administration has a lot of leverage, so it's going to be kind of a who blinks first kind of situation, is my guess.
Yeah. So you need to wait and see. We'll see.
Did you see that the FTC dropped a bunch of M&A lawsuits that they had this week?
No.
That was great. I don't have the list in front of me, but they dropped there was a whole bunch of
Oh, this is stuff that was instituted
by
couple years
Lena
ago.
Khan.
Yeah. Yeah.
As awful
Yes,
as
I
she
did read
was.
that. Yep.
So they dropped a handful of merger and acquisition and various kinds of suits that the FTC had against a bunch of companies. So good news for companies trying to buy each other and merge.
Well, it's been happening, and there's another story here that AT&T is buying CenturyLink's consumer fiber broadband division For,
Which
for
didn't AT&T originally own that? Didn't they sell it to CenturyLink?
I don't
That
know.
that CenturyLink thing has been in like a couple of different hands in the last couple.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Lumen or somebody owned it recently. I thought it was AT&T.
Low man? No, what is it? Something man.
Lumos.
Can't remember. But anyway, they're buying CenturyLink Consumer Fiber Broadband Division for $5.75 billion, giving the internet provider another 1.1 million fiber customers in 11 states. The all-cash deal is expected to close during the first half of 2026, assuming the companies obtain regulatory approval. So AT&T will gain new customers in Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and Washington.
Well, so this is going to have to go through two steps. This will have to go through the FTC, the Federal
then-
Trade Commission, as well as the FCC,
Right.
because you're dealing with things that are communication things that
Yeah.
are under the jurisdiction of them. But fortunately, the FCC. I don't know if you guys have seen the video. The new FCC chairman, his name is Brandon Carr. A couple of weeks ago, he went with a group of tower climbers in Alabama and climbed the 1,000 feet up on a tower and help them do some work up there. So it's really
Huh?
was cool to see him, without a suit on and being hauled in front of Congress and out there in a pair of jeans with a harness on, replacing a light bulb and some other stuff at the top of a tower.
Very different from our former transportation secretary, right?
Yes, very, 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 very different.
Hey,
So I can't-
AT&T, it costs them $1,000 or $4,100 per customer to buy CenturyLink fiber.
Is that what it is?
That's that. If you divide 5 billion into 1.2 million.
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess that's the per customer, but I guess probably also factored into expense has got to be the they're buying all the fiber and the infrastructure.
Oh no, I don't. I'm just that's not really a valid argument. I understand.
but it's an
other
interesting
reasons
figure.
why. I just thought it'd be fun to know how much per customer they're paying.
Yeah, that's a lot of $69 or $79
Yes.
internet bills
Yeah,
to
that's
make
right.
up $4,000 per customer.
I'm still doing well with AT&T. I'm not going to say it's fabulous, but it still beats the snot out of Spectrum.
You missed my saga when you were in Alaska. I was without internet for
I
like
watched. No, I
9
watched it. I
probably
watched
unfold
about
on Twitter.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah. Since then, it's been good. I still have my Verizon backup home internet that I purchased sitting in the attic, just waiting to be turned on.
You don't pay for it every month, right?
I do.
You do, even if you don't use it.
Yeah, I think it's $20 a month or $25 a month, and you get up to 7 days, seven days of bandwidth per month, unlimited bandwidth.
Business expense. Business expense.
It is, in fact, I am a 1099 contractor, so it is, in fact, a business expense.
Okay, that's fine then.
Well, it's not even just fine. I mean, it's cheaper than anything else I looked at. I looked at getting Spectrum, full Spectrum account, and their cheapest account is, and it's hard to tell because there's all these promotions and all this bullshit when you go and sign up, and none of it's long term. So I think the cheapest I could get into Spectrum is like maybe $40 a month. But as I thought about it more and more, while that would have been a full-throated, 24/7 internet connection, I'm also in an area where we're very prone to natural disasters. Hurricane season starts next week, and having a backup internet source that is wireless versus another service that's susceptible to trees and flooding and all of that other stuff. And obviously cell phone towers go down. I've been here when, those cell towers only have about 2 to 3 days worth of backup electricity before they run out. And then of course their backhauls get cut and everything like that. But I thought it made sense to have that as a backup for hurricanes and stuff as well. Starlink's the real solution, but I can't justify $100 a month for a backup internet source.
When
it
is
just doesn't.
when is the When is the Bezos satellite solution going to launch?
I read something about them in the last couple of weeks. I think they're still they're still waiting on a. I don't think they even have approval yet from. I don't know who approves them launching those. It might be the FCC.
And they don't even have a platform to launch it from themselves.
No, they don't. They'd have to. Starlink would be the one, or SpaceX would probably be the one deploying.
Yeah,
the
wouldn't that be ironic?
Oh well, hey, if they're willing to pay, I'm sure Elon will take their money to dump their satellites into space. He doesn't.
I forgot to mention I used Starlink for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yeah, we my friends got married in the mountains of North Carolina, and the house was in the middle of nowhere. It was like a big, really beautiful venue. But it was in the middle of nowhere, and we drove all the way up on the mountain, and we had internet, and I was like, oh wow, there's internet up here. And turns out they use Starlink. The only thing that sucked is that it rained, I don't know, overnight or whatever. And so the internet went out when it started raining, but then when the sun came back out, the internet was back on.
Was it raining, or was it like a really, really bad storm?
I don't know. Well, it was really cloudy.
Yeah, but clouds shouldn't have an impact.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a storm. I don't know. I slept through it. But when I woke up the next morning and it was still gross outside, I didn't have internet. But it was cool.
Well, it's all based on where your it's all based on where your unit is and what the obstruction and all that stuff looks like.
All right. This is kind of like sound like from the days of don't use a cell phone or you're going to damage your brain. With the gradual rise of semi-autonomous vehicles, there will likely be multiple cameras pointing back when you pull out a phone to take a photo or record video of a car. One Reddit user found out earlier this month that car-mounted Lidar sensors can damage a phone camera under certain circumstances. It was the technological equivalent of staring directly into the sun. Their phone, I mean, if you point any kind of video camera to the sun, you're going to destroy the sensor.
Actually, it's not that big a problem anymore. The cameras actually have protections against it.
I don't know.
It's not like it used to be where you point at the sun and that's it, just fried.
Yeah. So anyway,
because I've taken pictures of sunsets and with sun in the sky and not had an issue with the camera.
The article goes, their phone's camera was toast, but only because it was close up and pointed directly at the LiDAR sensor.
How close?
I have no idea. I say close in, close up.
I'm going to look up.
I'm wondering
how LiDAR works.
I mean,
my vacuum
it
uses
sounds
LiDAR.
technically interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The article also sounds alarmist. Okay.
That's what I was saying. This is like, hey, don't use a cell phone or your brain will fry.
Well, there's nothing to fix that. Our brains are already fried, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. It's yeah.
LiDAR is used everywhere now, and it's not just in cars. It's everywhere. You could be sitting outside and a plane fly over, and they're mapping the ground with LiDAR. So you're being exposed to it constantly.
Forget about that. So, the vacuum robot in your home uses that.
Mine uses LiDAR.
Sounds like one of those places that used to crank out press releases about some new toxic thing, and you find out it's one guy in a basement somewhere who just wants to basically shake somebody down.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that it's possible, but it's one of those things like if this is a toxic substance, if you eat 10 tons of it, it will kill you. So,
like seafood?
No, like how bananas are radioactive. If you have to eat 10,000 bananas to get radiation poisoning.
Right. Yeah.
But
are they really?
Yeah, but they are actually
oh my God.
radiative.
I gotta go.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, my banana farm. No wonder these mutants were popping up from the ground.
Very interesting.
So
Well,
But
I mean,
then
here's the
again,
thing.
we tend to ignore real threats, and then when you get these weird other out of space threats, we kind of take them seriously.
going back to the FTC, Nick, the Federal Trade Commission has postponed enforcement of its consumer-friendly click-to-cancel rule from May 14 to July 14th, giving businesses 2 additional months to comply. The regulation requires companies to make subscription cancellations as straightforward as the sign-up process, prohibiting practices like forcing customers who subscribe online to navigate through chatbots or call centers to cancel. So
I like the definition of as simple
Yeah.
as the sign up,
Yeah.
right? Like if they figure out an even simpler way to sign you up, then canceling should be as simple as that.
Yep.
Equally as
That's
simple
awesome.
to
So they passed the law some time ago.
Yeah,
but
I remember we talked
they're
about
giving
it.
them 2 more months to comply.
Have I talked about my experience with Peacock TV?
No.
It is so far the best like signing up and canceling experience I've ever had. And I say that because so last year they had a deal where for $20 you can get the whole year. And I was like, okay, yeah, I signed up. I only watch a couple things, but for $20 it's worth it. And then my subscription was going to renew May 1st. And in April, at the beginning of April, they sent me an email and they said, hey, just want to let you know that your subscription renews in May. And it's going to be the full $80 price. If you don't want that to happen, make sure you cancel before May 1st. I was like, whoa, this is the first streaming service that has sent me an email about it. And I was like, oh, thanks, Peacock TV. And so I went and I was going to cancel. And so I hit the cancel button and it was like, sad to see you go, but would you stay if we gave you the $20 price again for the whole year? And I was like, hell yeah. So I subscribed again for $20 and it was so easy. I've never had a streaming service send me an email a month in advance to let me know that it was going to auto renew and it was going to be at that price. Like it said it in the email. Like it broke it down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best. And so I was like, I don't even care if I don't watch anything on here. At least, of like, this is good. I have entertainment if I need to look up something or whatever, but it was like good guy Peacock TV.
Yes, Spence, this is like your experience with Sirius, or what was it?
Oh yeah, yes, XM radio.
XM.
Yeah, Sirius XM.
Yeah.
It's if you don't pay attention, whammo.
Yeah, and they're, I mean, at least they're making $20 where they could have lost that $20, and
Yeah.
was how many millions of $20.
And they get me
Subscription.
talking about it because it is such an anomaly to have good customer service when it comes to this that I've just been telling everybody that has streaming services with my friends. I mean, not that I'm spreading the gospel of Peacock TV, but it gets brought up enough to where people are like, man, the Netflix fees and blah blah, like all like we're just talking about it, and I'm like, well, let me tell you about Peacock TV.
Good. Very good. Google has warned that the hacker group known as Scattered Spider, which recently disrupted UK retailer Marks and Spencer, is now targeting US retailers with aggressive and sophisticated cyber attacks. US retailers should take note. These actors are aggressive, creative, and particularly effective at circumventing mature security programs. They're getting better and better.
What are they getting? Data?
Uh,
Credit card
well,
numbers
they're
or
getting
something?
what they're looking for. If it's always data they're looking for. Yeah,
What was
Well,
the name?
Scattered Spider. That's the group.
Scattered spider.
Scattered spider.
Now, here's a subscription we should promote: is you pay a monthly subscription to basically be put on the no-call list for all these hackers, and they all get a part of the piece of the
Vince,
pie. So
that's
you
called the
pay
mob.
in advance, right? Say, I want to pay for protection, basically, and they all agree to say, all right, we'll get our 1% of that as a revenue stream.
There was a website that did that. You guys remember that website that would bypass news outlets, paywalls? I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Bypass
I don't
news
remember what it was
paywall.
called
It's
either.
called I don't remember what it's called, but a bunch of news outlets started paying this company to not have the bypass work on their websites. So like it used to, I think it's called
So they made
There's a
money
s-
from both ends.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess they weren't making any money besides ads from the end consumer, but like
Mhm.
the New York Times and Gannett and all of these, major USA Today that own all of these major newspapers just paid this company to say, hey, don't bypass our stuff, and then it stopped working, and the website kind of faded into non-existence.
Mm.
So did they
Yeah,
try?
but notice it was cheaper for them, right, to pay this website than change their architecture to prevent that from happening.
It's interesting because the way that I get around the vast majority of paywalls is not any. I used to use a browser extension, but it had kind of weird effects, and it would kind of screw up websites more often than not. But using Archive.is is the solution I use, and I use it every single day to bypass paywalls. I think it has something to do with I think it's got something to do with SEO and things like that. If they restrict the web, if a robot can't crawl the
Yeah.
website and view it, then they have no SEO. So it's got something to do with scraping the website for Google and Bing and all the other search engines. But it works great. So you just go to archive.is, pop in the URL, and then somebody, if it's a major news site like New York Times or Washington Post or something, somebody's already done it, and then you just click the version, and it's the full unobstructed site. It's great.
Oh, wow. I have a friend
There's
that
a
always send me stuff that, and now you have to subscribe. No, I
Yeah,
don't
go
want-
archive.is.
Yeah.
I
Good.
use an aggregator for stories or news items, and you can select who you want your feed to be. And some of them actually do that for you. If they're showing somebody else's webpage, they have a way to get around. It's foolproof, and you're not assured that it's going to happen. But a lot of times I'll see, as I'm opening a story, you can see it doing what it has to do to get around the paywall.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not using what's the name of the service that you're using?
Oh, conservative news.
That's okay. I would say because what's the service that Firefox owns? Pocket. That's shutting down.
Yeah.
They announced that this week. I don't know if that's in your news. I don't know if it's
I read
that
it.
big of a
and-
deal, but we used to use that back in the day, Amnon. If you'll remember, 10 years ago, it was a popular thing amongst many
Yeah.
tech circles.
I got the story. It says, in a surprise move that will frustrate longtime fans, Mozilla has announced it will shut down Pocket on July 8th. The once popular Read It Later service, which helped users save and organize web content for later reading, will no longer function as normal after that date. While existing users can continue saving and reading articles until July, the service will switch to export-only mode afterward, with all user data permanently deleted on October 8th. And it says that
Interesting.
the Firefox maker will also shut down Fake Spot, a service that allows user to identify unreliable reviews on July
Yeah,
1st.
that's interesting.
Oh shit! I think I use that.
Yeah.
I use
I
it
use
too.
that a lot.
Yeah.
I
What
use
the
it
hell?
a lot.
Yeah, I have it
Well,
installed.
I can
God damn
understand
it.
that it's not a moneymaker. probably two things here about FakeSpot. FakeSpot, I mean, if you haven't tried it, it's an interesting tool. I would recommend giving it a try, but I think it's less relevant today because Amazon already does what FakeSpot does internally.
So this was only for Amazon or for reviews in general?
It started with Amazon. I think
works on
does
eBay,
it for other
which is
websites
big.
as well. Yeah. But it doesn't have any way of sustaining itself, because the more it is effective, it means it needs to run through a lot more records. So I'm guessing the cost of running it is really, really high. It's using AI in the background to gather information from all of the reviews of an item, and then going to all of the reviewers' history to try and determine whether they are real reviewers or bots, or they just always say everything's good, right? And taking them out of the average in order to show you what is the actual review rating is. So negating all of the automatic naysayer, automatic yaysayers, and focusing on the content of the reviews themselves. And so that is probably very pricey to run. And I did find that the fact that Firefox bought that service back then was a real head scratcher, because if you're not making any money out of it, then it's going to cost a ton, right? Yes, it's very pro-consumer, gives us a lot of power, but yeah, there has to be more to it. So
But see, though,
yeah,
I would actually disagree with that, because depending on who bought it, was it the Mozilla
I think the
nonprofit
Mozilla
foundation
Foundation,
that owns it? I mean, that's where you could see a service like that existing, right? The Mozilla Foundation is a I don't know what their actual status
No,
is, but
I
equivalent to a
agree.
501c3.
I agree, but funding it is a problem because it's costly. Unlike Firefox is a development cost. Okay. So they don't need to host anything specifically. By the way, one of the ways they are making money these days is they're selling VPN access, right? So they found some ways of of offsetting the development cost and allowing for some funds to come in, but still keep themselves as a nonprofit organization, and it's fine, right? Like they're not designed to make the next $1 billion company. So focusing on consumerism while protecting the consumer definitely falls into their worldview, right? Maintaining that something that needs an AI model running in the background, keep learning, and to keep it sustainable. These costs today are high; they're not cheap. So I get why closing it. As for read it later for Pocket and like discarding that service, if you remember, Google did that to RSS feeds, right, a while back, like early on, actually, early 2000s, early 2010s, something like that. So that reading the people today on the internet do not really read, right? I mean, it's sad to say, but most content isn't reading content today. So sustaining that are also costs that they need to do away with.
There was another one of those services, kind of a save now, read later thing. It had a green. I remember the logo. It was green. I don't remember what it was called. I think they shut down a couple of years ago as well.
All right. I want to go for a second back. I just noticed in the chat when Nick, when you were saying that they just need to, I mean, Tim Cook just need to say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So Eleanor's asking, so you're saying he will commit, tariff goes away, and nothing actually gets built?
No, I mean, here's the reality that Trump is only the president for another, 3.5 years.
Right.
And obviously in the 2026 election or 2028 election, excuse me, you get a Democrat president in there, things change dramatically. But no, many of these commitments are, agreed upon by the company. And if it is determined that after a certain period of time, they have not followed through on that commitment, then you'll see those tariffs go back in place. So it's more than just saying, "Oh, I commit to do this." I mean, I don't know if they sign. I doubt they sign like an actual agreement, but they agree upon something, and then the United States or this administration would change its policy based on that commitment coming to fruition. I mean, we've got programs here in North Carolina. They're known as the JDIG grant program, Job Development Incentive Grant, and those companies get certain amount of tax breaks and certain amount of taxpayer dollars, but it is all contingent upon hiring goals and employment metrics and investment by the individual company. And we've seen it a lot in the last couple of years. A lot of those grants have not come to fruition because the company is unable to meet the metrics that they agreed upon, and they don't get anything from the state because they just didn't meet the metric.
Mm,
So I would imagine it would be something similar to that.
okay. And going back to Mozilla, uh, not all the news about Mozilla is shutting down, shutting down, shutting down. They changed the way the search goes. It says when you perform a search now in Firefox, your query now remains visible in the address bar instead of being replaced by the search engine's URL. Whereas before, your address bar was filled with long, confusing URLs. Now it's easier to refine or repeat searches. Clicking an
Whereas
icon.
before, this was only possible with an extension. That's all that needs to be said.
Okay.
It was already the Brave browser, at least on mobile. I don't use it on the desktop, but the Brave browser did that. It was great, especially when you're on your phone and retyping something is a huge pain in the ass, especially if it's a long search term. Brave did a really good job at that. I don't know if their desktop app does.
I don't know. I just read it and I said, interesting.
That's great.
Yeah, no,
I mean-
that's good to know. But this was possible back in early 2000s through extensions, and that there's always been an extension that does it for, I don't know if for every browser, but for Firefox for sure.
Okay. Vietnam's technology ministry has instructed telecommunications service providers to block the messaging app Telegram for not cooperating in combating alleged crimes committed by its users, according to a government document reviewed by Reuters. I mean, Telegram is getting slapped left and right by different countries where it's being blocked, and there was a few stories that we talked about.
Well,
a few
there,
times.
I think it'll continue to happen, and the reason is, unlike, let's say, Signal, Telegram is always somehow trying to expand its reach by what it allows to do on it. That's on one end. There's a lot of automation that is embedded into it, stuff like that. Signal is just chatting, right? The
Yeah.
API isn't very, very comfortable to do anything else other than communication. And there's another aspect. Unlike Signal, Telegram is a for-profit company. even though they claim they're not doing it for profit. Okay, so I think they are just positioning themselves all of the time as a safe harbor for wrongdoing.
Yeah, that's why
So, yeah.
that's what their countries are doing this to them. Interesting. All right, it's that time of day. Anything else we won't talk about? No? Nothing? All right. So, Spence, again, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
And thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gal. And thank you, Katie.
What's wrong with thanking Kathy?
No, it's fine. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy, for allowing me
Thank
to do
you.
this.
Exactly.
And good morning again, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And remember to change any same passwords wherever you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT, 1110 a.m. and 99.3 FM. And it's live on YouTube. Just go to the search for the Carolina Journal News Hour and you get the details. And Nick also hosts the Nick Craig Show every morning from 7 till 8. Just go to nickcraig.com and get the details. And Nick and Brian host together the Infection Podcast on Twitch. This is for gamers, gaming news, survival games, and some political stuff here and there. So just go to infectionpodcast.com, get the details, and see when the live show if you want to watch it live. Have a great week and have a good Memorial Day. We'll see you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.